I mean, there are three big, in inverted commas, killers in the UK, aren't there? Cancers, heart problems, and diabetes.
As I compared to type 2, type 1 is irreversible.
By 2025, they think there will be more than 5 million people in the UK who have diabetes.
My name is Lily Skelton and my dad has type 2 diabetes. My dad's diabetes is hereditary, so we're making this film so that I know what to look out for just in case I get it. We meet Alex, who's a student who has type 1 diabetes. And we meet David, a volunteer worker for Diabetes UK, who has type 2 diabetes.
I'm Fred Skelton. I've had type 2 diabetes for nearly 20 years. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes when I was 45. My dad had diabetes type 1 all his life from the age of 17, and my sister is also type 1 diabetic, and her son Ben is type 2 diabetic.
I think if you have a diabetic in the family, it is a worry to any mother to know that their children could suffer from it. My name's Debbie Skelton and my husband has type 2 diabetes. Fred had shown no signs of diabetes up until probably his mid-40s, and we went away on a holiday in Florida. You look a bit red-faced as if you're in the middle of a hypoglycemic coma or pissed. It's difficult to tell. He was behaving very much as if he had been secretly drinking before we went out to the restaurant. And because we had young children at the time, we were going out to a restaurant at 7 o'clock in the evening, and he was falling over, slurring his words, just not making any sense at all. I was absolutely hopping mad with him, but as soon as we got back to England, he went to the doctors and had a diabetes test, and it confirmed that he had had diabetes for a while.
What a lovely family.
Well, initially I felt really bad for being so cross with him and thinking that he'd been secretly drinking, but also sort of very worried about what implications this would have on his health and how it would affect the family and whether the children would have diabetes.
Well, I found out, I think, it was confirmed a couple of years after Florida, but I don't remember a great deal about the Florida incident. I just remember going a bit weird and strange.
My name's Alex Plaister. I'm 21 years old. I study pharmacy at the University of Portsmouth, but I'm originally from Pontypridd, South Wales. But being of a Welsh predisposition, I suppose I like playing rugby. I was just about to turn 4 when I was diagnosed with diabetes. I was actually told on my 4th birthday by the consultant that I was diagnosed with diabetes, so it was hell of a birthday present. But I can remember the doctor explaining this condition to me and my parents being sat and explaining it in terms that I would understand. I suppose myself, I don't really know what it would be like not to have diabetes. I suppose my family coped quite well because it's quite well known within the families. Both my parents being biomedical scientists as well, they sort of have quite an in-depth understanding of diabetes, and my dad's been diabetic now for 53 years, so he's got the experience behind him. I suppose myself, I don't really know what it would be like not to have diabetes, so I feel I've adjusted to it.
My name is David Bailey. I'm a retired secondary school head teacher. I'm now 71, so the things that I do are voluntary. I work in the local infant school, and I also work as a volunteer for Diabetes UK. I have type 2 diabetes, and I was diagnosed about a year after I had a triple heart bypass operation. So perhaps the traumatic effect of that was responsible. And it was interesting that it was at my heart checkup that I found I had diabetes, because the symptoms I said that I'd been experiencing were the symptoms of diabetes. And it never struck me that I would have diabetes. So it was a very rapid learning curve from that stage onwards. You can never forget that you've got it, because you need to be aware of how the things you're doing are affected by diabetes, and how diabetes is therefore central to your well-being.
I take 5 different tablets every day, twice a day.
Watching my dad take so many tablets when I was younger was actually quite a scary thing, and I think, what's wrong with him? Why does he have to take all of these tablets?
So these are the tablets I take twice a day. These are metformin,
What's that for?
which are my main diabetes drug. This is sitagliptin, which is another diabetes drug, which is a backup to the metformin. Atorvastatin is for blood pressure, maintains a low blood pressure, and Ramipril is for blood sugars, helps reduce blood sugars.
Yeah.
And omeprazole are to protect my stomach linings from all the other drugs I'm taking.
So if I had diabetes, I'd have to take all of these
Not,
every day?
not necessarily.
It's all dependent on
Dependent
the person.
on the person and the problems. You'd have to take metformin, and you might have to take sitagliptin.
I wouldn't remember to take all of these every day.
Oh, well, I've been doing it for a long time.
I suppose so.
Diabetes is a very important thing because it's growing so quickly. Since 1999, the number of people with diagnosed with diabetes in the UK has gone up from 1.4 to 3.2 million. By 2025, they think there will be more than 5 million people in the UK who have diabetes. So it's a major health problem. That's why it's so important.
Diabetes doesn't affect my life significantly at the moment. I manage it quite carefully. I take my tablets regularly. Diabetes is a worry because as I get older, the complications do increase. My dad was 72 when he died. My dad died of a heart attack that was probably related to his lifetime of diabetes. I am worried that my children will get diabetes, but we've just got to be vigilant and look out for any signs.
Type 1 is more often than not developing in younger people, and it happens when the pancreas stops producing any insulin at all. So, in other words, to treat these people, they must be given insulin for the rest of their lives if they're going to survive. People with type 2, it's slightly different. It develops more slowly than type 1, and the initial problems are that the person is not making enough insulin, or else its body cannot make use of the insulin that it's producing.
As I've grown up, I've become more aware of the fact that my dad's diabetes was hereditary rather than something he developed because of his diet or something to do just with him personally. When I became more aware of that is when I started to worry that maybe myself or one of my sisters will have diabetes in the future.
I would be horrified if any of my children develop diabetes later in life. I'm glad that they're in their 20s now, and that if they were diagnosed with diabetes, they could probably manage it. And I think these days you can live a good life on diabetes.
So Dad, tell me, does having diabetes, what do you have to change about your diet? What do you have to look out for?
Not too much sugar, not too much carbohydrate really, and certainly no beer.
No beer? Oh right, yeah, don't believe that.
But no, I think as long as you keep your diet sensible.
Well, you have to watch out for your dairy, don't you, because of cholesterol, and I don't think you're very good at that.
Well, I don't have a lot of dairy. I do eat probably too much butter,
Yeah.
but I don't really drink milk. I probably have cheese once a week. I don't know. So I'm not too bad overall. Just butter really is my main problem.
My knowledge of diabetes, I have to say, was shamefully little. I imagined that either he or I would have to be injecting him about 2 or 3 times a day. I thought that I'd have to change the whole diet for the family and cut out sugar altogether, which wouldn't have gone down well with the rest of us. And in fact, Dad doesn't eat that much sugar.
I think everybody is at risk from diabetes. There are a few factors to take into account though. First of all, there is a very strong genetic link. And if one parent has diabetes, then there's a higher risk that an offspring, a child, will have diabetes. If 2 parents have diabetes, there's a higher risk that the young person will develop diabetes or in later life develop type 2. And then there are other things which come into the equation which may trigger the development of diabetes. And the biggest by these is obesity.
My dad, he was a plumber. Never cooked. My mum did all the cooking. But he was a good dad, hard worker. Worked for the council.
Did he look after himself with diabetes?
He wasn't very good, I must say. My mum had to help him out quite a lot, but he wasn't too bad. When I found out I had diabetes, I wasn't terribly surprised. I was disappointed, but I thought it could well be on the cards because of my dad and my sister.
It is, I think, fair on other people that they know that you have diabetes in case you suffer from one of the sort of common side effects of diabetes. And it's only fair on the people you're with that they're aware that this can happen and what action to take if they need to.
I don't think there'll be a cure in my lifetime, but I'm sure in some time to come there will be.
It's not that it's troublesome, it's just that you think, oh, I've got to change it again, but it doesn't really have much of an effect as such, because especially with the pump now, it allows me to do things which I couldn't do before.
If you have diabetes, I think the thing to do is to make sure you take the medication you're told to take, always, at the right time.
I don't really think that people know enough about diabetes, and I think that it's time that they did. Diabetes is a life-threatening disease, but if you know what to look out for, you take your medication and you manage a healthy lifestyle, then you can live a normal life.